I want to talk about this Shannon Sharpe situation because it's blowing up almost as fast and maybe just as big as the P. Diddy situation. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't know much about Shannon Sharpe until I saw that Cat Williams interview. I remember seeing the thumbnail while it was live, and I actually thought Shannon was a woman at first. I'm not big on sports figures, unless it's the obvious names, like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Tom Brady, or the Manning brothers. But what pulled me in was that Cat Williams interview. And what struck me wasn't just the humor. Cat Williams, if you really listen to what he says, carries a prophetic weight. He may not be a prophet, but people who make themselves available to God can still say things that are undeniably prophetic. His lifestyle might not fit the prophet label, but that interview was full of truth that has already started to come to pass and still is. It continues to do so, actually. In the same interview, I believe Shannon Sharpe mentioned that God had something to do with him starting his podcast. He said he wasn't going to do it at first, but then God gave him clarity, and it turned into a lucrative platform for him. But here's the thing. If God truly led him to start that podcast, then God didn't just give him partial instruction. God doesn't do anything halfway. He may not reveal the full picture all at once, but he always gives us what we need to move in wisdom. And Sharpe was given warnings. If you go back to the interview with Cat Williams, you'll see it. Cat gave a direct warning. He told Shannon to be careful with young white women and warned him that after that interview, he'd become a major target as a black man. And here we are. But that wasn't the only warning. Monique also was on the show, and she gave him another one. This time wrapped in comedy, but still prophetic in nature. She told him to stop messing with younger women, to settle down and marry someone closer to his age. Someone who would bring peace, not chaos. And while her delivery was funny, her message was laced with truth. Now look where we are today. Shannon Sharpe is being sued for $50 million by a woman 30 years younger than him, someone he allegedly assaulted. And if you've been paying attention, this isn't the first time. There are reports that other women have come forward before, and some were paid off. That makes this a pattern, not an isolated incident. The audio of him threatening that woman, the disturbing text, this isn't speculation anymore. He clearly struggles with sexual addiction, and he prefers to feed that addiction to younger white women. That's his documented pattern. And this is what happens when sin gets unaddressed. When you're warned and you ignore the warnings. When you start to believe your money makes you untouchable. Money doesn't protect you from consequences. It should give you discernment, but instead it looks like it gave him arrogance. If Shannon truly believes God gave him this platform, then he should have stayed close enough to God to know what not to do with it. Because God doesn't just tell us to go, he also tells us what to avoid. But when you stop listening, when you become high-minded, that's when your private sins start leaking into your public life. He was warned, not once, but twice. Cat Williams, Monique, maybe other people outside of his platform. 2 different people, 2 different times, saying the same thing in different ways. That wasn't coincidence. That was God speaking clearly. And instead of listening, he kept moving like he was invincible. And now everything is coming out. If this woman backs down, the damage is already done. The history is already on record. He's already been exposed as someone with a pattern of behavior that's been hidden behind charisma, muscles, and a camera. And the fallout could be huge, not just for him, but for the companies connected to him. He may not be working directly for Disney, but through ESPN, which is a Disney subsidiary, he's linked. And Disney is already under fire for enough bad decisions. They can't afford another scandal. They may have to cut ties with him entirely, and if they do, it's not going to be out of mercy. It'll be self-preservation. When it's time for exposure, things start unraveling fast. One story breaks, then another, then another. This is what it looks like when grace lifts. It could have been a private course correction, but he chose to ignore the loving correction of God through people he sent. So now, the exposure is public, brutal, and possibly career-ending. Let this be a reminder. When God gives you multiple prophetic warnings from multiple sources, you better listen. Because if you don't, what could have been a whisper will turn into a storm. And no amount of PR, podcasting, or payoffs will be able to undo it. This is the Faceless Helpmeet. If this spoke to you, hit the like button. If you want more truth without the filters, subscribe and turn on notifications. We don't perform here, we heal. Thanks for being part of something real.